Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Damn Podcast. I am your host, Angie Machado. Joined with me, as always, is our beat writer, Jake Hedberg. Jake, how are you today?
Doing pretty well. Excited for practice to kick back up tomorrow.
Couple days off. The team took a break on Sunday. We are going live here on Monday afternoon, and today was a closed practice for the media. But Jake and I will both be in attendance tomorrow, practice in the morning, and then we will head over for a tour of the new Research Stadium. So I'm excited about that. Excited to practice again. It should be in pads or at least shells by tomorrow. So
they're wearing shells on Saturday. So
okay, so we should be full pads. So that will be fun. Just the show. Jake, do we have anything to talk about today? Is there anything going on with Oregon State sports?
I mean, pretty big subject right now. It's kind of unfortunate state for the Oregon State athletic program, but just got to have faith and be confident that our athletic department can get something done.
Yeah, so we are going to talk some realignment stuff, what's going on. It's changing seriously by the minute, and it's all over the board. You hear one. I've been talking to people in the Big 12. I've been talking to Mountain West, Pac-12, Pac-4, I guess I should say. Anybody I can kind of think of that I can hit up for anything. I've been on the phone all day, so I will give you what I know and kind of where that's at, but it's kind of all over the place, and I think it's changing minute by minute. But we will talk about that right out the gate. We will also go through fall camp the first week, give our thoughts so far. Jake has been at all the practices, so he has a really good handle on what's going on with the team. Today, I do want to give it's Monday. We have the final hours of our 60% off annual subscription. Do it, join. There's a lot going on, and you're not going to want to miss all the stuff going on with the whole realignment, but then the season as well. It could be a very special season and then heading right into baseball. So while there's still a ton of uncertainty about what's going to happen with Oregon State, as far as which conference, I can tell you, they're going to be playing football, they're going to be playing baseball, basketball, all of that this year. And in the future too, it just will be a different location. But we'll also hit a mailbag. And then if we have time, we didn't have time last week, but Jake has a guest the Beaver. He's going to try to stump me. So we'll play that. Are you ready to get going, Jake? Got a full show? Okay. And for those who have asked, yes, we are trying to bring guests on. We will have some guests from 24/7 sites as we get into the season, but we are going to try to bring some players on. But unfortunately, with practice right now, it's been a little tough with their schedules. But I promise you, we will be getting some players to talk about what's going on inside the locker room. So that will be coming in the Damn Podcast as well. Probably after camp. So let's just get started here with the whole Pac-12 demise. It happened fast, Jake, because you and I were in Corvallis on Thursday. It was kind of the talk, and everybody was just kind of saying, hang tight. Everybody we spoke with around the university was hang tight, get home. And it's all kind of talk about, hey, the Pac-12 might be sticking together. Like they're going to make the Pac-9, I guess it was at the time, it's going to kind of make this work. They're going to stick together. Friday morning, like all hell breaks loose. It's been a sad few days, I think, if you're a college football fan in general, if you're Oregon State, Washington State especially, the past few days. Jake, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really sad time for college football as a whole. You know, I think what makes college football great is the tradition, the rivalry. You know, like in my mind, it's like in what world should a team like Oregon be playing at Rutgers in the same conference? And I just don't really think that it makes sense really for other sports outside of football. Like someone on Twitter brought this up. I don't remember who it was, but like with basketball, smaller sports like volleyball, there's going to be teams traveling from the West Coast, like Oregon, Washington, all the way over to like Rutgers, Maryland, and they'll be over there. There's going to miss so much school. It's going to be tough on the travel budgets. I just don't think it was a smart financial decision. Obviously, they're getting paid more, but I also don't think schools like Oregon and Washington are going to compete against Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. I feel like for them, it was their best option to compete was sustaining the Pac-12, but they obviously decided that money was more important than success. So
It's an interesting time because I like what Chip Kelly kind of his model, and it's been thrown out there. College football is changing. I get that, and I think what Chip Kelly kind of threw out there was kind of a 4-15 league or 15 team divisions. So those 60 teams were kind of the A level. Then you had a B level, and then there was a relegation element involved too. So there was some incentive if you were in the B tier that you could next year with a good season play up. You might get demoted down, relegated down. But it kept the conferences intact for those Olympic sports and all the other sports. And I think that's the biggest thing. And we heard Scott Barnes talk about how he's furious and that the best interest of the student athlete wasn't taken care of. And he's exactly right in that looking at the big picture, football travels charter. I mean, they get off their plane, everything's taken care of that way. They fly home immediately after a game. All the other sports don't. And so, yeah, you are looking at baseball, softball, volleyball, water polo, all of them having to fly commercial, and whether that's out of Eugene or Tucson or wherever they're going, there's a lot of stops and small towns and bus rides, and those guys are gonna, it's gonna take its toll. And I've already seen, some, especially U of O softball players come out.
Yeah.
They've been very vocal in the fact that, a lot of these young people have chose to play at their school because they wanted to be near, family and friends and to be able to have people come see them play. And they can't do that now.
I mean, a silver lining about that could be is if Oregon State does end up in a Pac West, whether the Pac-12 picks up Mountain West teams, that could be a big recruiting win because Oregon State would probably be the top dog in that conference. And if you've got talented guys in California, Washington that don't want to be playing in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, they're like, just stay at home, play at Oregon State. I'll still travel to California and Arizona, Washington, all that. So it could be a potential.
It was actually funny because I was talking to a Duck fan, a Duck booster, been around a long time. And their thought was, they said, it's funny because there's Duck fans out there that are so excited. Like, we get to play Michigan and Ohio State and Penn State. But you're not going to play those guys every year. You're going to be playing the Rutgers and the Indiana and the Minnesotas and Nebraskas.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. And I don't think this is a long-term deal. I mean, I think at the end of the day, the bottom line is that the SEC and Big Ten are trying to kind of vie for that mega super conference and kind of keep that. But no, it's interesting. So where we're at now, as of Monday at 4:38, this is what I know. There's a Pac-4, Stanford, Oregon State, Washington State, and Cal. Oregon State, I think the best, I think as of right now, the whole merger idea is off the table with the Mountain West, which doesn't make sense. You can't take all those Mountain West teams.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but nobody wants to have New Mexico in their, playing.
In their Power 5 level.
So if it was anything like that, it would be a picking and choosing kind of thing. I already think that Stanford and Cal have already said no, that they're not doing that. The latest that I've heard is Stanford and Cal are looking at the ACC, going out to the ACC, which then I heard Clemson and Florida State are not happy about. So there's that. There's what's going on there. Oregon State's best chance for viability is going to be going to the Big 12.
I agree. I feel like them and Washington State both to survive.
But apparently, and it depends on who you talk to.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good fit for both those schools. I think culturally,
I think it's a good cultural fit.
Yeah, big cultural fit. I think you take two more, you get to 18 in the Big 12, and you can still keep some semblance of the regionality too. I mean, you'd have 18 teams, so 2 9-team divisions. I've heard San Diego State's in the mix here too, potentially, that they like that TV market. I don't think they like the buyout of that because it's a 34.
It's like 34, yeah.
So Oregon State has no buyout, neither does Washington State. So what I was kind of penciling this out. So if somehow they were able to get this deal, it would be at a reduced share. They wouldn't be getting the full $30 million, which sucks. I mean, but it's better than what Oregon State's looking at right now. So
yeah,
like looking at it, so I'm like, okay, travel wise, if you were able to come up with 2 divisions, then 2 19 divisions, you'd have Colorado, Utah, BYU, Arizona State, Oregon State, and then either San Diego State or Wazoo.
Yeah. And
Then you have
like
7, and then what? You take Texas Tech,
Texas Tech and Baylor
or Baylor or Oklahoma State.
or
And there's your
TCU.
9,
Yeah,
or
I guess that's
TCU.
more East. Yeah.
So I think it could work. Now it's just a matter of does that team want? And I saw a tweet today because the top 25 college poll came out today. Pac-12 has
Yeah.
5, second most of any conference, or second most
And
behind
it's,
SEC,
yeah.
and the conference has just been blown up. So that's kind of where we're at. I don't see a merger happening. So there's the recap: no merger with the Mountain West. I think it's still on the table, potentially picking off some of those guys, maybe picking off a few American Athletic Conference. But everything I'm seeing now is it's kind of Big 12 or bust for Oregon State. So that's where we're at. Again, looking at it from another perspective with the Big 12, I think Oregon State fits so well with all their other sports they're strong with: gymnastics, baseball, wrestling. I mean, there's a lot of sports that Oregon State could fit really nicely with the Big 12. I love their fan passion. I think that would fit with kind of the Oregon State fan passion. In fact, it might even help Oregon State kind of ramp up. If Oregon State's playing teams that have a huge following, it could help them. So that's where we're at as of 5:00 tonight. I've been updating the Beaver Blitz Confidential in the Lodge. Jake, I know you've been keeping up on that, and this has been kind of my area. Jake's been focusing on the team. So any kind of questions you guys, throw them at me. But the Beaver Blitz Confidential is where I'm putting all of that, and that is behind the paywall in the Lodge. So there has been a lot of questions about what Beaver fans can do right now. I think of the fans. I think of Jake. I think of a lot of us that are sitting around kind of sad about all this. But the team has got a chance to do some special things this year. What can the fans do? And that's good to games. Buy tickets to the games. Make Reeser loud. Make it a sellout every single game. And let's send this team out right. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, I feel like the biggest thing fans can do right now is support this team, because I feel like this team really has a chance to be something special. And if they make a run, make the Pac-12 championship, push for a potential playoff spot, then I feel like there's no way Oregon State gets left out. So
I don't know who Nick is. We have someone in the chat. He's been posting, and he says that yes, there was a rumor that somebody tried to sell the Big 12. They go 7 teams minus Oregon State and Washington State because they want nothing to do with the teams. And Nick, I think that's old news. I think there absolutely is discussion going on right now with Oregon State and the Big 12. So I think maybe what your information might be maybe not completely right. So just kind of leave that at that.
Yeah, and like right now, there's a bunch of stuff from different reporters with different sources coming, so many different things. But this was from the athletic department straight. So
yeah. So because I have some pretty good sources in there, so I can tell you, Big 12 is definitely in play. So we'll see what happens. McMurphy has said this, but like I said, I mean, we've had a lot of different sources telling us different things. So you kind of have to go with, and it could be completely right. Oregon State may have no shot at the Big 10 or Big 12, but fresh report from the Bleacher this morning. Well, that was this morning, and things have changed, Nick. So just leave it at that. So, I mean, this is changing seriously by the minute. It's not something that, what you read this morning is not necessarily what's happening right now. San Diego State is definitely in the mix there. Oregon State. I'm actually hearing Washington State and Cal are not in the mix for the Big 12. So we'll see what happens.
One thing I've heard, I don't know how true this is that the Big 12 has been looking at adding 2 more teams for football, which would be Oregon State and San Diego State, and then throwing on an additional 2 for basketball only, which would be Gonzaga and Connecticut. And that's why for a school like Washington State that shares the same TV market as Gonzaga, they aren't as viable as an option, which is unfortunate because I feel like what Oregon State deserves, Washington State does too. So I hope Washington State can find their way into the same conference as Oregon State does.
So what's interesting too is And like I said, this is changing. This is evolving. The other thing I've also heard is that the Big 12 may not be in a hurry to make a decision and kind of let things play out, whereas Oregon State is actually in a hurry to find a home because they can't. Um, I mean, they have to be smart about it, but they also need to find a home just to keep, for the recruiting aspect. They can't afford to sit around and just wait and see what happens. They need to make a play. Taylor Rawlings says, explain to me like I'm 12 what makes San Diego State more desirable than OSU or Washington State. TV market. And that's what's sad about this entire thing is it is all coming down to TV market and potential eyeballs on screens. So that bottom line, it has nothing to do with the fan base, with the academics, with the football team, with anything other than the San Diego TV market is bigger than the others. That is it. So that is what I've got there. And we could talk about this, I think, for the whole hour. And we could sit and kind of split hairs about what we've heard. And like I said, basically anything you can imagine, we've heard. We've heard that Oregon State has no shot. We've heard that Oregon State does have a shot. We've heard that Cal and Stanford, everybody's in on a Pac-12 expansion. Then we've heard they're not. So, like I said, keep up in the lodge because I've been posting everything as I kind of get that information and trying to keep it kind of consolidated. But I think right now it's best that we stop here because we did talk about it. And we're going to talk now about football because that is what's here and now. That's what we can talk about. And as soon as something breaks with where Oregon State lands, we will be back. But here we go. Football. Jake, let's talk a little bit of Oregon State Fall Camp. Not quite a weekend. Let's start off because there's been a lot of guys sitting out. Give me a quick rundown of who has been sitting out, who's been missing the first couple of days of practice.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a handful of guys that are limited to where they have their helmets, they go through warm-ups, they stretch, and then they go out and work with the strength staff to try and get back to 100%. Top of my mind, guys that come out are Anthony Gould, Trevor Pope, Montreal Hatton, Taz Reddix, Alton Julian's been another guy that has not really been a full participant. He's been limited, and then there's a handful of guys who just haven't seen practice at all. Joel Valdez, the Linfield transfer, haven't seen him practice at all, and then a few other walk-ons. A bigger name is Mason Tafanga. Haven't seen him at practice at all.
You haven't even seen him because I was going to say I saw Joel Valadez day one just going with the strength guys.
I saw him on campus, so he is on campus. I just haven't seen that practice. Jalen Holmes, the JUCO wideout, he is on campus now. He's not practicing. He's been in street clothes with the wideout group. I'm not sure whether that's some kind of paperwork issue with the NCAA or something, but he is on campus with the program right now.
They picked him up actually after practice Thursday.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of times they have to get through all their physicals and all their pre stuff. So a lot of guys, but Coach Smith told us Thursday that nobody looks to be long-term. Is that what you're hearing too?
Yeah, I haven't really seen anything outside of Skylar Thomas and Marco Brewer, but those have been known for a while now. Haven't had any new injuries pop up through camp yet that I've noticed. So far so healthy, which knock on wood.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can keep that rolling throughout camp.
That's going to be a big thing, right? That's going to be kind of what makes or breaks it is staying healthy. Mm-hmm. Let's go to the offensive side. Give me your standouts. I mean, we're early. You've seen 3 practices. Who stood out early?
I thought a guy that really comes to mind that had a solid day on Saturday was Jermaine Terry, the tight end from Cal. He had a few nice catches during the 7-on-7 session. He's a big tight end. I think he's going to push for a starting spot. He's kind of become a favorite target of DJ so far. 7-on-7, he kind of looks at Jermaine a lot, so that could be a big connection to watch come fall. I thought DJ's had a pretty solid camp. He's been a little inconsistent, but when he flashes, he flashes. Best example that comes to mind is Saturday. Did the 2-minute drill. Wasn't great. He was 0 for 4. Bounced back to 7-on-7. Was 6 for 6 with a touchdown pass. and the touchdown pass was one of the best balls I've seen thrown all camp. So I feel like if DJ plays to that high level potential, then it could be special.
Yeah, you've mentioned Jermaine Terry a couple of times, so that I think for Beaver fans that are looking for maybe who could be maybe that bigger body possession receiver, that's huge. Somebody, are you not counting Marco Brewer as an injury? Yes, but he's out for the entire season. So
and that's kind of been known.
So yeah, if you're out for the season, then we're not going to discuss that going forward as being a guy sitting out. So Jermaine Terry could be one of maybe that bigger bodied, taller, wide possession wide receiver. Offensive line. Let's talk about offensive line a little bit. Actually, let's first impressions of the offense. Do you think they can score more points than maybe last year?
I think their passing game is going to be improved. I feel like the wideouts have performed at a high level. Haven't really seen too many drop balls. There's been a couple, but obviously that'll happen. I just feel like the passing game adds a different element to this offense that will also allow the run game to be much more successful. Where it's towards the end of last year, in certain games, just kind of one-dimensional. Mm-hmm. Whereas now, regardless of if it's Gilbranson, Childs, or DJ, there's going to be improved quarterback play. I feel like all three of those guys are capable. I feel like the passing game downfield is going to be much improved.
And DJ gives you that ability to run too, so that could be fun.
Childs does too.
And Childs does too. So, what are you wanting to see from the offense this week as we hit into 5 days of practice?
Yeah, I'm a little more interested to see the run game. I haven't really seen a lot of that yet, just because it's difficult at the early stages of camp. Really not in full pads, can't hit full speed. You can't really do a lot of blocking, so it kind of gives the defensive line an advantage. So I'm excited to see, particularly on Saturday with our scrimmage. I'm excited to see how the backs do. Offensive line should be strong again. Excited to see how it plays out.
Yeah, yes. So speaking of offensive line, I'm guessing it's been the same usual suspects running with the first team, but who has been filling in for Marco Brewer?
Yeah, so far, Tanner Miller, junior walk-on guard, he's been taking all the reps. He's started games before. He's proven. The coaching staff, I know, is more than comfortable with Tanner, and I think he could push for a starting. I feel like he could push to take the starting spot. It'll be interesting to see how Tanner and Grant Stark, that battle plays out. Stark's been running with the second team left guard and right guard, who's been kind of bouncing back and forth. We'll maybe see Stark start to rotate in with the first team in the next week or two. That would be my guess, just because he's a really talented kid and it might be hard to keep him off the field.
Do you think that they're just trying to move Stark around to give him some experience kind of with the Beavers line, just to kind of see where he might fit best?
Yeah, I feel like that could be a possibility. He didn't play guard at Nevada, so he's still kind of learning the position, which the offensive line's tough. There's so many different reads and schemes. It's tough. So for a newcomer into a new system, it might be a little more difficult,
So let's talk about. We talked about wide receiver. Lots of guys sitting out that are not participating. Who have you been impressed with so far?
Yeah, there's been the receiver position's kind of been. It's been hard to get a real gauge on it, just because they haven't really been fully healthy. Saturday they had 8 guys practicing like full speed. Guys that come to mind, Trent Walker is a walk-on.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure how much he'll play, just because he's not as athletically gifted as those other guys, but he's playing well. I mean, I was talking to Jim Patterson at practice on Saturday, and Patterson said he's going to be the next
Mike Hass.
So we can see that potentially.
That's kind of big shoes to
high
play
expectations.
There. Yeah.
So we've seen that. Jemiah East has been the guy we've seen come in, get reps with the first team, and then Silas Bolden's been as good as advertised. A name Beaver fans might like to hear has been playing pretty well is Jimmy Halson. He's been kind of banged up his first 2 years, but he's a taller 6'3" guy, and I think he could be a contributor for sure.
Okay, and then running back. Okay, with the transfer, Jam Griffin transfers to Ole Miss. 3 scholarship guys. What are they doing? What are you seeing? What kind of surprises and wrinkles have you seen early on with the running back group?
Yeah, the coaching staff has said they're comfortable with 3 guys, but I personally would, as a fan, would rather have more than 3 healthy running backs, and we've seen them start to kind of play around with that. Saturday's practice, we saw a redshirt freshman linebacker, Cord Shaw, start to work with the running backs a little bit. I know he was recruited as an athlete. He can play running back. And he's a bigger guy too, so I could see him putting on some weight and filling Jack Coletto type role. And then we've also seen at the fullback spot, Hodgins, seen him getting reps with the first team in the short yardage situation. So I think he's definitely gonna see time.
So Hodges, what is he listed at weight wise?
6 foot 270.
Okay, so 270 running behind that line.
And their smallest guy is like 296.
With DJ, who's 250 right there too, helping to push that might be unstoppable.
And a 232-pound running back.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. If Oregon State ran like a 2 tight end fullback running back, that's Damian is the smallest guy on the field at 232 pounds.
Of all muscle.
Yeah, of muscle.
Wow. Okay, so some kind of things to kind of keep an eye out if you're a Beaver fan this upcoming season. Now let's talk quarterback, because everybody talks quarterback. Talk to me about DJ. Is he the guy?
Yeah, I think he's going to be the starter. Him and Go Branson have both bounced back and forth with the first team. Aiden Childs has gotten 1 series with the first team in 7-on-7. And he had a touchdown on that drive, 50-yard touchdown pass. But I feel like DJ is Oregon State's best option just due to the diversity he brings to the playbook. He's also been the best at keeping the ball safe so far through camp, which I know it comes in his sophomore year was kind of an issue. No interceptions yet for him. Childs has had 1, but I'm not really putting that one on him just because it was a touchdown. The ball got ripped out of his hands. Could have arguably been a touchdown. And then Go Branson has 2 picks, both not great decisions. So it's just good to see DJ taking care of the ball, because I feel like that's going to be really important.
It's going to be huge. I mean, when you look at that Utah game, all the interceptions that really led to the loss. Okay, so we are going to take a quick break. If you're watching live, we just do this so I can plug an ad in, an ad break for the podcast side of it. I do want to give a quick little ad for Beaver Blitz. If you're not a member, now is a perfect time to join Beaver Blitz. We are the one source for all your Beaver information, whether it be football, recruiting, baseball, basketball, you name it. The Lodge is the place to be, and beaverblitz.com. You can join today, Monday. It ends tonight at 9, and save 60% off an annual subscription. It's a great deal. Would love to see you join us. We are breaking records left and right, so we'd love to see you join in as well. And with that, we're going to give it a quick little break. Okay, welcome back to the DAM podcast. Again, I'm your host, Angie Machado, publisher of Beaver Blitz. I am joined by Jake Hedberg, our beat writer, guy in Corvallis. I'm excited because I get to see you twice this week, because I'll come down Saturday for the scrimmage too.
Perfect.
We just got done talking about the offense. Now let's talk some defense. So first 4 days of practice, 3 days of practice, who have been your standouts on defense, Jake?
Yeah, Ryan Cooper is first guy that comes to mind, senior nickelback. He's had an interception, played well. Hodgins had a really good day. The first day, he had an interception.
He has an interception, yeah.
might be the only interception he's had in his time at Oregon State. Chatfield, I feel like, has really improved his game. I think he might be the guy for a starting spot at an outside backer spot.
No, that's a guy that we've heard, and I think you're right. he had a huge game in the bowl game, and then all the preseason, even at Beaver Blitz, we haven't talked about him a whole lot. But
Yeah, I
has
feel
he
like
looked?
it's more than Taylor and Omotoshu just being
Yeah,
talked about rather than Chatfield. But he just seems a little more explosive. He's been getting a lot of reps with the first team, working his way into the backfield, and he's going up against guys like Tolley, Josh Gray, who aren't slouches by any means. They're two of the best tackles in the West Coast.
and then I know you're high on um,
Tyrese.
Tyrese, yeah, but is he
Yeah.
still your guy, or
Yeah.
I've been seeing Drake Vicker's name too pop up.
Yeah, Tyrese Ivy is a guy. Spring camp, I really liked. I had him sharpied into the depth chart at the corner spot. But Drake Vickers, junior college guy, like Tyrese, also 6'3", like Tyrese. He's come in, and they've been splitting reps, which kind of surprised me. For two junior college guys to step up and be working with the first team just like that. And I think it'll be an intriguing battle to follow. They've both been really impressive, had passes broken up. I feel like they're both capable of starting. Just Jade Robinson's too good not to start. So that'll be an intriguing battle. And then another young guy who not a lot of Oregon State fans know yet that's been getting reps with the second team is Jermod McCoy, freshman out of Texas. He's 6 foot, 180s, fast kid. So we could see him see time as well.
Yeah, he is White House, right? Isn't he from the same
White House,
school
Texas.
that Patrick Mahomes came from?
Mm-hmm. Yep, White House, Texas.
Okay, so first impressions. I mean, is this group going to be a better overall unit than last year?
Yeah, I mean, I still think it's a little too early to tell just because we haven't had pads on. I feel like the secondary might take a step back. It's like I said, without pads, it's too hard to tell because it's tough for the defensive line to really apply pressure right now because they can't go full speed. Kind of gives the quarterback some more time to throw. It'll be. I feel like this next week and a half would be telling of how good this defense really could be.
So, I mean, is that kind of what you want to? That was the next question: is what do you want to see this week? Is it D line play and just how hard they can hit?
Yeah. Again, trenches, the front seven. I feel like that second inside backer spot. I feel like that battle will start to ramp up this week just because the pads will come on, guys will start to tackle. And you could see a guy like John Miller or Calvin Hart separate from the rest of the group.
Yeah, talk about, I mean, that middle backer, on the other side of Easton Mascarenas, who kind of has been running with the first team.
Yeah, John Miller and Calvin Hart, they've both been rotating back and forth. Haven't really seen a fall off from either of them. Calvin Hart had a nice tackle, or would have been tackle for loss on Saturday. John's done well in coverage. He's bulked up. He's put on, I think, like 17 pounds since last year. So that's another battle I'm really excited to see play out over next week or two.
Yeah, there was a lot of guys that looked that first week that looked like they'd added some bulk. One of them, too, we haven't mentioned is James Rawls. He looks like a big dude right now.
A guy that from day one, freshman, Isaiah Chisholm. For an 18-year-old kid, I remember he just walked around past me like, don't see a lot of freshmen physically built like a tank.
He did pass the eyeball test, and if you haven't, we did throw up some pictures from that first day of practice, and we did get a picture of him. Jake was actually like, go get a picture of Chisholm because he's so we got a picture of Chisholm. But yeah, James Rawls looked bigger. There's several guys that actually passed the eyeball test. I think Thomas Collins has popped up a couple of times too on your report as a true freshman.
Yeah, he's been running with the second group. He had 2 most likely would have been sacks. It's kind of hard to get real sacks right now, but he got into the backfield Saturday multiple times. And then Kelsey Howard's been a little banged up. He's been limited. Haven't seen him play in team any, but he's another guy that Trent Gregg mentioned on, I believe it was Saturday, that is a guy that could contribute.
So let's talk. I didn't have it on our rundown, but I think we need to give a kind of an update because it was a struggle last year was the kicking game. How has the kicking game looked?
Yeah, well, we really haven't seen a lot. We've only seen 2 attempts. Hayes got one, Sapson got one from 30. It was like 35, 40 yards. They both were good. The punting game, excuse me, Josh Green actually looked really good on Saturday practice. I know he pushed Luke Loescher hard in camp last year, so I feel like that. While Luke Loescher was a great punter, I'm not expecting to see a huge fall off there.
Okay. Yeah, he had hip surgery, correct? Off season?
Yes, hip surgery.
Or
and he's
last year
fully
hip
cleared
surgery.
now. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And I know he's really excited to get out there. So good story. If you remember, Carter had an article. He actually came from Laney College, and
With Rajon.
with Rajon and Nashon. So tomorrow. So again, tomorrow. So today was a closed practice day. Jake and I will both be down tomorrow morning for practice. Then we will try to get as much up as we can before we hit the research tour, and then we'll also be keeping our ears tuned into anything that might be developing with the whole new home for Oregon State and the Pac-4. You want to go to some mailbag questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let me pull them up here because we got some. Some of them are football. Some of them are just kind of just more fun. But Beaver Billy says, "What can I take for this ulcer I'm forming from the last week? I think a Power 5 invite would fix it. Other than that, any suggestions?" Jake, what have you found? Anything to help the ulcer, this nervousness of where the Beavers are going to land?
Yeah, I've just been kind of trying to tune it out, just kind of focus on this season. I mean, obviously, it's a lot easier for me because you have to like watch practice and be around the team and kind of build up that anticipation where a lot of people haven't had that opportunity. So that's mainly what I've been doing, is just focusing on.
So keep focusing on Jake's lodge reports and videos, and then maybe it'll keep your mind off of whatever happening that could be bad. Beaver Shark 123. Do you expect resolution on Oregon State's conference future near the end of next week, or have a general idea of where we're going? I don't know. Honestly, this is something that could drag out, which I know that Oregon State does not want it to drag out. And it could be something that we hear tonight. I mean, that's kind of just where we're at right now. It's one of those things that could happen immediately, and it could happen.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of feel like it's impossible to know. Like, it could be, like you said, we could know tonight. We could not know until the end of the season. Just got to kind of, in my mind, just got to kind of put it aside and focus on what Oregon State can control, and that's going out there and dominating.
And that's what the fans can control too, is supporting these guys. And I had they actually had a tweet, Oregon State Football Friday, I believe it was, maybe it was Saturday, just saying focus on us. And I think they're going to internal and come together and focus on them. And I think as fans, your responsibility now is to focus on them too, and wrap your arms around them and be there to support them at games, cheer them on, and do what you can. So that's really all you can do. Hopeful Beef says, with all the realignment, I need some hope from practice. With the loss of Jam, how worried are you about only having 3 scholarship backs?
I mean, as long as they stay healthy, I'm confident that our 3 are as deep a 3 as any other group in the conference for sure.
The Cord Shaw thing's interesting though, because he did play running back in high school.
He did, and I wouldn't be shocked to see him kind of take a 2-way role. I mean, he's been running with the second group at linebacker as well. So I do kind of see him as kind of a Jack Calero guy that kind of builds similar. Cord's obviously a little smaller, but he's only 19, 20, whereas Jack was a 6-year senior last year. So with time, he could kind of build up, take that role. And the kid's a hell of an athlete too. So I think that's something to keep an eye on, and I'll kind of keep an eye on it throughout the rest of camp.
And this is stuff that you're not getting everywhere else, guys. So enjoy this. Kendon 74. Life happens. That's a given. But what's the reaction? It's the reaction that matters. Given what you're seeing on the practice field, does this team look rocked on its heels, or does there seem to be some bounce back drive and a stay together come out swinging?
Yeah, I mean, practice on Saturday it started off a little flat, which, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, if I was a member of the team, I'd be kind of pissed off and disappointed too. But throughout practice, they kind of,
Jake,
yeah, Someone just came and rang our doorbell, so he's
Oh.
kind of getting crazy. On Saturday, the energy kind of picked up, got better. So I just feel like it was kind of just the start. I feel like they'll be fine. I feel like it adds like motivation.
And don't you feel that especially like Smith and Bray, I think especially can kind of keep these guys focused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like their presences in the locker room are as good as any Oregon State or any other team could have. I feel like a lot of the countries too is kind of giving them support and giving Jake Dickert at Washington State a ton of support too.
Yeah. Ben Esch, given the way the past week went, does George Klakoff resign or is he going to make the Pac-4 fire him?
Well, I kind of have my thoughts on it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just don't see how you really keep your job and you allow 8 teams to leave your conference in the span of a year when you had the opportunity to get a deal done.
Yeah.
Obviously, the whole thing's not his fault. I think this kind of started with Larry Scott's failure in office, but.
Well, and then you have to put the blame on the presidents and the ADs too that allowed Larry Scott to kind of have free reigns too.
I mean,
Ed Ray was one of the biggest.
Yeah, he didn't help that at all. Which.
This is going to be a case study. This is going to be a case study that sports and even institution business students are going to be reading about in years to come because it was such an epic failure on so many levels.
Yeah. I just don't see him keeping his job, and I don't think he deserves to.
There might not be a conference to keep.
Yeah, which very well you could see us and Wazoo bounce to the Big 12, Cal and Stanford bounce to the ACC, and then just like that, it's gone.
It's gone. Para Beeve wants to know vanilla, strawberry, chocolate, or Neapolitan. Pick one.
Ooh, pick one. Kind of a plain. I'm gonna go with vanilla.
Oh.
As long as I've got chocolate syrup on it.
Okay.
If I've got chocolate syrup on it, that's good.
Probably chocolate. I don't know. I'm guessing that's ice cream. So I basically any ice cream.
Yeah.
My favorite.
Ice cream.
But I'll be with Jake. I mean, vanilla with chocolate sauce is amazing. We've been doing a lot of vanilla. My kids have vanilla with like fresh berries on it this summer. So they're moved on. We went from strawberries to raspberries to now blackberries. They tell me it's pretty damn good. Let's see. Where do you stand on continuing the Civil War? This is another Para Beef one. He says, or they say, hell no. What do you say?
I feel like it just depends on how the whole conference realignment plays out for Oregon State. If we're in the Big 12, a more competitive conference where we're competing for a playoff spot, then I'd say go for it. It's tradition, 120 something years of it. But if Oregon State's in a smaller conference, then I would not do that to a program that, per reports, showed in 10 minutes before signing the Pac-12 deal and was like, screw you guys.
Yeah.
We're gone.
And I do think,
I'm all for it if we end up in the Big 12. But
what's funny is the fact that, I mean, gosh, I cover Oregon State. I don't cover other teams. I cover Oregon State. My followers on Twitter are Oregon State fans. I make a comment on Twitter and then I get all these ducks jumping out of the woodwork. And at this point, I say, hell no, we're not playing Oregon. Like, I thought that was a very hollow statement that Rob Mullins was, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see.
I would love to go down there and just kick their ass one last time down in Eugene.
Oh, there's going to be, I think, some massive.
Oh, it's going to be chippy.
Yeah, it's going to be very chippy.
In 2021, when Trayshawn and Gould got into it, and John Miller got into it too. I'm expecting a whole lot of that this year. And honestly, oh well.
It's going to be interesting to see kind of where that goes. And like, I agree with you. I think if you're both in a Power 5 conference and it can work out, I don't see a problem. But
like a Georgia Tech, Florida State, that type thing. But like a Colorado State type thing, or Utah, Utah State. There's no reason for
There's no
Oregon
reason to
State
do
to
it.
do that. Like I'd rather go play at Michigan, Ohio
Exactly. Go play
State,
LSU.
Alabama,
Yeah.
LSU. I'd rather play like the big name programs with a real shot at competing for a title.
Yeah. And I mean, you're probably going to make more money, and it's a better environment because Autzon's not a great environment.
And they're better programs with actual shots at taking home the title, whereas Oregon won't, and then the Big Ten. I feel like if Oregon State ends up going to the Big 12, they're going to be more successful as a program over the next 10 years than Oregon will be.
Rio Alci says, what do you expect will happen if Oregon State gets cut down to only $4 million a year compared to what they have been seeing?
Yeah, the biggest issue that comes to mind is keeping the coaching staff around. Like I know there's guys that want to stay, guys that have passed up on bigger jobs because they're comfortable in Corvallis. Trent Gray's a guy that comes to mind that want to stay in Corvallis, but if they can't be making enough money to really sustain themselves, well, I'm not particularly talking about Gray here because I think he's going to be happy at Oregon State regardless. There's guys that are great coaches, love Oregon State, but could be paid a hell of a lot more at bigger schools. Like Coach Blue's great coach, Coach Fence, I could see them. Coach Wozniak, Coach M was a big one too. So that's really the first thing that comes to mind.
So Rio also says, do you think we see many decommitments soon?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really not too sure. I was debating kind of reaching out to the recruits and just seeing where their heads are at. I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, Oregon State does have a commitment coming in tonight, which I do think kind of speaks for itself, that even during this time, the coaching staff still able to get guys to commit to the program. So that's
I don't think we see anything yet, and I think this coaching staff is going to be really good at having these guys kind of stay the course. I do though think Oregon State does not have the luxury to sit around and they can't let this play out all season without a home. It needs to be settled sooner than later.
There was one I saw, a Washington State kid for basketball. He decommitted and said it's because of the uncertainty. So who knows? Could see that happen. I sure hope not, because I feel like Oregon State's starting to really recruit at a higher level. But I mean, it is a possibility.
Okay, Mr. G. Gray, one of our favorites, asks your overall predictions. Are the Beavers statistically better or worse from last season in the following categories? Okay, rush offense.
I feel like they're going to be better, but not by a lot. I just think the passing game is going to open up more opportunities for more chunk plays. I don't think they're going to run the ball as much, but I feel like they're going to pick up more yards when they do run the ball.
Okay, so pass offense.
Yes, I think that's going to be going up for sure.
Okay.
I feel like regardless of the quarterback, I feel like even if it is a guy like Cole Branson, I feel like pass offense is still going to be better than it was last year.
Rush defense.
For me, yeah, I mean, it's a little too early to tell. Just I haven't really seen the run defense really get a lot of work. I feel like the big question will be how the linebackers can do. I feel like our defensive line will be good. So for now, depending on how that second linebacker spot plays up, I'm going to go back.
Okay. Pass defense.
I think we are going to see a little bit of a drop off. I don't think it will be as good as it was last year, but I do think it won't be as big as some people might think that drop off will be.
Okay, there you have it. Reeser Beeve has a few questions here. Okay, you and I get to go see the new west side of Reeser tomorrow. What do you expect to be your impressions when you take your tour tomorrow?
I mean, I'm hoping to be just blown away. I've seen that, I've drove past the outside or run past it literally every day. I'm excited to get to see it inside for the first time. I'm excited to check out the press box. So I've never seen that. So yeah, I'm coming in with kind of an open mind, just ready to be excited.
It'll be fun. Yeah, the press box, it's going to be fun to see. You didn't miss much of the old side, I'll tell you that. Reese Reeve also says, if OSU were to be accepted into the Big 12, would that affect recruiting much or at all about not playing a California school?
I mean, I don't really think so, just because you like the programs we'd be competing against Oregon, Washington, SC, and UCLA. They're playing teams in the middle of nowhere in Nebraska and Minnesota, whereas
I mean,
Oregon
you
State's still
technically
playing.
could. I mean, you'd have Arizona, but I mean, theoretically, if they picked up San Diego State.
Yeah, exactly. You could
Um,
Southern California.
if OSU were to be in the Big 12, what would be the best road trip to watch?
That's a good question. I feel like Oklahoma State would be a fun one. As a college student, Central Florida kind of comes to mind as a fun one to get to go down to Florida for tailgating. Texas Tech is another one, particularly as a college student, and then but I just feel like the Oklahoma State and then the Iowa State. I feel like Ames and Stillwater, kind of Corvallis in the Midwest.
Manhattan too. K-State would be fun.
K-State, yeah, and Kansas would be a fun one too.
Yeah.
I would honestly be more excited to travel to those ones than I would Seattle, and like Los Angeles and like Tucson and Tempe are great, but I feel like the tailgating, the atmospheres are better than they are in like Stanford and Cal and all that.
I would be excited just because I think, the fan experience would be so much more impressive. Yeah, you go to a game at Cal or Stanford and
there's like 20,000 people.
Right. Selfishly, I mean, I have some great relationships with some of the publishers with the 24/7 sites in the Big 12. I'd love to go see Tim Fitzgerald at K-State, or gosh, the Oklahoma State. I have a great connection there. He's actually a really good friend of Coach Riley's, and it'd be fun to go see him. And gosh, that orange and black, make it OSU versus OSU would be so fun.
I feel like if we do that, we should do that on Halloween weekend every year.
Every year. It'd be so fun. Okay, so Pat, last question here. Pat Beaverman says he's going to Vegas for the first time in 2 weeks. Any tips? How much should he put on the Beavs to win it all?
I mean, I've never been to Vegas, so I don't really know. Like,
you're not even 21 yet, are you?
Yeah, still got 3 more months.
I'm not a huge gambler either, so.
I wish I could say the same. I would put. I feel confident. I feel like this team has the second or third best shot. I think it's going to come down to that Utah game. I feel like whichever team comes out of that game is going to play USC in the Pac-12 championship game. I don't gamble, but I haven't done it yet, but I need to buy one of those Mega Million or Powerball or whatever it is. Because I feel like 1.5 billion or something would be like. That's a lot to the Oregon State Athletic Department. Right
that would be crazy money, right? That would be, that could be. So if you haven't done that, maybe, I mean, I'm not going to spend a lot. I think it's $2? Is that all it is? I don't, $1, $2?
It's $2, I believe.
$2, okay. We are, speaking of, it's not really betting, but we'll figure something out. We are going to do a pool this year on Beaver Blitz. So I'll get that up here probably in the next week. So you can get signed up. So it will send you reminders. I'm actually going to pay and kind of do it right this time. And so nobody has to try to keep track. So it'll be a fun little go in and make your picks. There is a way to make it where you can put money in and bet. I just think I might keep it simple the first year, but that is coming.
Something like we could throw on there as like a signed ball by someone to try and figure something out like that.
We'll figure something fun out. But that's on the agenda too for Beaver Blitz here this year. So again, before we jump to guess that beef, because we do have time today, Jake wants to he's going to be really good at it because my brain is so filled with former Beavers. So yes, tonight is the last night to take advantage of the 60% off. Tonight, we're also expecting a commitment. So definitely be kind of keeping your eye on the lodge. And then again, I will be posting anything I hear in the Beaver Blitz Confidential. So if you haven't been a member at Beaver Blitz Confidential is where we do it sporadically when there's some big news or big things happening. And it's where I can throw out insight that needs to stay in the lodge. So it's kind of a fun feature we do when there's things going on. But other than that, and then I'm going to tomorrow, Jake, you and I practice. I missed 90s rap day, I guess, at practice.
Yeah. The first song they started playing Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, and I was like, oh man, they must have thought Angie was coming.
Dang it. Dang it. Dang it. They just didn't want to watch me dance. That's the problem. Okay. We are going to play Guess the Beaver here. So remind me here, we go in what, 20 years? Is that the
Yeah, I would just think like 2000 just from then on.
Okay, 2000 on. I can only ask yes or no questions, and I will keep track of how many it takes me here.
Let's
Okay,
do it.
you got it? You got somebody in mind?
Yep.
Okay. Is this player an offensive player?
No, he's on the defensive side of the ball.
Okay. Did he play between 2000 and 2010?
Yes.
Did this person play D-line?
Yes.
Oh! But now I gotta try to think
There's a
back.
bunch of them.
Did this player play tackle?
No. It's not Stephen Pye.
Okay. Scott Crichton?
It's not. Scott was 11 to 13.
See, dude, you're like a walking encyclopedia. 2000. Well, is it Grant?
Lawrence? No.
Yeah. Jackson.
Nope.
Okay. Anybody in the chat gonna help me out here? Come on.
It's not the president.
Huh?
So it's none of the presidents.
Let's see. Not the presidents. Goodness, see, this is gonna be. Did this player play in the NFL?
I don't believe so. Let me double check.
Okay, well, you're double checking. Cecil, thank you. Cecil Markley says, I just want to say thanks for the great job that Beaver Blitz is doing. It's much appreciated. Thank you.
He did not play in the NFL.
Okay. So, yeah, Jordan Johnson, I'm thinking that, but I think he was after 2010. Dylan Wynn.
Yep. 2011 to 2014.
Yeah, he was later. He was,
It was the same time as Crichton.
Okay, yeah. And Victor Butler, and there's a whole slew
I
of
loved him when I was a kid. Number 90. I should have thought of that one. That's good.
Wynn and Butler were good ones. Okay, I'm striking out here. And nobody's helping me in the chat. This is so bad. Okay, I'm at 8 guesses. Goodness, I'm trying to think back. Swan cut.
Nope.
That was a good one, though. That was a good guess.
He was a little before my time. Don't really remember him.
But you said 2000 to 2010.
Yeah. Like Swan cut was like 03, 04. I don't know.
Oh, okay. So you just kind of gave yourself away that it's going to be later.
Yeah, I guess I did.
Goodness. Who was opposite Swanee? He was earlier, though. Okay. I don't know. I'm running out. You're going to tell me and I'll be like, no brainer. Okay.
I can give you a hint.
Okay.
All right. He played with Evanson Bernard. And he's from Nevada.
Huh. I'm thinking. Gila? Was he at end? I thought he was a backer.
But who?
Gerard Lawson?
Nope.
No.
Gerard was a corner.
Oh, man. From Nevada. Okay. I don't know. I'm going to try one more here, and then I'm at 10, and then I don't think anybody wants to sit here and listen to me try to guess this.
There's one hint that'll give it away after your next guess.
Oh, wait. Okay, wait. Okay, Van Orso.
Yeah, there's
Oh!
Jeff Van Orso.
Okay. 10 guesses.
That was
Right at the
that was my
buzzer.
guy.
I was trying to think. Yeah, it gets hard to start thinking about all the many good ones.
There were good ones. My next hint was going to be the ball is patted down. The Beavers beat.
Yes. Yeah, that would have totally given away. But it's hard sometimes to remember like who played with who, and like
Yeah.
the years get kind of
'Cause
fuzzy there.
he was like 04 to 07, I
Okay.
think. He was kind of
That's a good one.
he was, yeah.
Okay, well there you had it. I will stump you next week. We will be back next week on Monday. Monday, I'm guessing we have practice again on Monday, but we will. I'm guessing 4:30 will still work. Again, 60% off annual membership at Beaver Blitz, and stick with us for all the latest breaking info. And I can't even say news because I don't even know when we'll get some like legit news. So it's just breaking rumors and what we're hearing in the lodge at Beaver Blitz. I'm Angie. He's Jake. We'll be back next week for another episode of the Damn Podcast.